Even though the Democrats have shown you what they are all about, even though the Democrats have never done anything for you, even though Joe Biden has literally done nothing for you and literally done something for every other group in this country, even people that don't even live in this country, you still will support the Democratic Party. A dream come true for you all would be for Kamala Harris to be running for president and Michelle Obama to be running for president. And I know that you all will pick Michelle Obama simply because of Barack Obama. I know this. Even though the Democrats have done nothing for you, even though the Democrats have destroyed your community, you will still support them simply based on what it looks like. At this point, I really believe we're beyond it being a spell cast over our people. I honestly believe it's just pure insanity.
Why not target the African American community? Why not say then, this is for you? This is for African Americans. If there was a banking crisis, then you target money for the banks. If there was a national disaster, you target your money for the national for disaster relief.
That's not how America works.
Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized, and supported by the white liberals.
When have our leaders ever been in 100% agreement with what the system was doing? I mean, when has our leaders been in 100% agreement with big government, big pharma, and big tech? When have our leaders ever been in 100% compliance with what was going on as it pertains to the system?
COVID is the new Jim Crow. COVID is the new Jim Crow. COVID is the new Jim Crow.
The Al Sharptons, all these people. So they get paid to pump fear, oppression, and making you believe you're being held down by the white man. They pump that narrative into your system so that you will stay in your place. And they can continue to do what they do, and they can continue to get paid. Prime example, things have happened in my life that have helped my eyes to open. I was working in the schools. It was like a movie, that movie, Lean on Me, with Joe Clark. That's how the kids' behavior, that's the severity, because they were violent, they were aggressive, they were threatening, they would bring weapons to school. It was a war zone every day for these third and fourth graders. It's hard to believe. Yes, third and fourth graders. I had kids hang out the window to try to commit suicide, bang their heads on the wall and the floor. Everything you can think of, we experienced in that classroom.
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
I was out there in the George Floyd protest. I led the George Floyd protest in the city of Minneapolis. This puzzles me. I heard people say, almost religiously, F the police, the whole system is guilty. And I agree that a good portion of the system is guilty. But how can you turn around and trust that same system with vaccines? It's the same system. That's why I laid out the hierarchy of the New World Order. The medical industrial complex is one of the three industrial complexes that make up the New World Order structure. Media and military are the other two. So the medical industrial complex is the system. So if you're just going to go out and wholesale promote and encourage people to trust the medical industrial complex, you were always a part of the system. You're a sheep or you're in on it. And that's pretty clear to me.
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
I began to work with those kids using my training from my master's level program as a master's level clinician, outpatient therapist. Those kids began to get better. Let me back up a little bit. They were housed in our program because they couldn't be maintained in their everyday regular school. The regular school said that they could not come back to school until they completed our program, or they needed to be stepped up to hospitalization. We were the in-between between hospitalization, between the regular school and hospitalization, or the regular school and the DJJ. The kids in my program began to take to the interventions and they begin to change their behavior, and they begin to get better, and they begin to sit down in their seat, and they begin to stop fighting, and they begin to listen to the teacher, and they begin to improve on their grades, and they begin to improve on their reading. I had the supervisor of the program come into the classroom where I was and tell me, if you make them better, we won't have a job. I had the supervisor of the program come into the classroom where I was and tell me, if you make them better, we won't have a job. If you make them better, we won't have a job. If you make them better, we won't have a job.
If you make them better, we won't have a job.
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
White liberals control the consciousness of Black America. And these white liberals use people that look just like you to keep you in line. They use people that look just like you to keep you under control. And these people usually come bashing white people or white America. But in actuality, these people that look just like you, that are controlled by white liberals, actually get monetary compensation to keep you all from critically thinking. This is one of the dangers of being Black, because as I've always said, to be Black is to be controlled. And it's easy to control you if you are Black, because everything in your world boils down to white and Black. White is the oppressor and Black is the oppressed.
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
The same thing goes for, critical race theory, let's say, is another example. If the entire system is inherently racist and whites, an example of white supremacy, why do you want white people teaching your kids about racism? Why do you want white people teaching your kids about racism? Why do you want white people teaching your kids about racism? Why do you want white people teaching your kids about racism?
Why do you want white people teaching your kids about racism?
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
What are the odds of our leaders who have been fighting against racism, against injustice, literally against the system for all these years, all of a sudden say that the system is no longer an enemy?
So if elected mayor, would you require all city employees or contractors to be either vaccinated or face regular COVID testing?
Yeah, so because right now we have a worker shortage, I want to get to 100% vaccination, but I have to do that in an organized fashion because we have a service delivery problem right now. So I would say within the first 100 days, I'd like to get us to 100% vaccination. And I'd like to do that by using carrots instead of sticks. You develop incentives that allow them to be paid to get vaccination. And that's the incentive to help them be able to decide to get this vaccination right away. And then we'll use the reserve fund to pay those individuals for getting vaccinated. But yeah, and then later, if they don't want to get vaccinated, we'll have to use penalties in order to curb to get them in line to be able to be vaccinated.
Today, you could point to a large number of Negro leaders who have consistently betrayed Negroes in a whole host of areas.
They aren't really Negro leaders. These are puppets that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. These are parrots that have been put in front of the Negro community by white liberals. You can't name me a Negro leader who has been betrayed Negroes, who has not been endorsed, sanctioned, subsidized and supported by the white liberals.
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
It is usually if you study the structure of the Negro community, economically, politically, civically, psychologically, and otherwise, it's controlled by the white liberal, who usually poses as the friend of the Negro.
In order for you all to get free from the group of people who look like you, who are paid by white liberals to control you, is for you all to exercise character. In order to exercise character, you all will have to abandon Black culture, because Black culture says that you must focus on what someone looks like and not the content of their character. The only way you will be able to break free is to exercise character. If not, you all are going to go back to slavery. And I mean literal slavery, because the people that you trust will be holding the chains.
COVID is the new Jim Crow.
Wait for it. Free blast. Get money. Go.